Hello students, after completing the chapter the study of gas law and the periodic table, uh, today we will start with the language of chemistry. As the name of the chapter most appropriately suggests, chemistry is indeed a language, right? Like any other language, we also use chemical languages, which are nothing but the formulas. Okay, chemical formula, compounds, formula of symbols. Okay, all these are known as the languages. Like all languages, this language too has its alphabet, sentences, and syntax. Chemistry is a branch of science that deals with the characteristics and composition of all materials. So, what is chemistry? Chemistry is that branch of science that with deals with the characteristics and composition of all materials. Yes, so chemistry is that branch of science which deals with the molecules, atom, its composition. Okay, so whatever you see around yourself, when you start finding out with what type and what is the atoms and molecules which is present in it, okay, that means you are dealing with the branch of science that is chemistry. Chemicals are everywhere. Some chemicals are useful to us, some are harmful. In order to know them, we need to understand the fundamentals of chemistry. With the advent of invention and the quest to acquire more, individuals have frequently explored the realm of the unknown to extend their boundaries of knowledge and to get ever so close to the truth. To comprehend and concise chemistry, alchemists invented a system of symbols for elements. So, with the advancement of the science and technology, the quest, the urge to know more about this subject, the urge to know more about the reaction, the urge to know more about the atoms and molecules, okay, had led a new way for the branch of chemistry or for the branch of science that is chemistry. Okay, now the earlier the chemists they started formulating or making some symbols in order to identify or in order to specify some elements. John Dalton used circular symbol with enclosed marking to represent element. Dalton's symbols for an element represented one atom of the element. So here I am showing you, okay, see how Dalton, okay, he has used various symbols. Okay, see for oxygen, okay, this is a symbol of oxygen he used. This is a symbol of hydrogen, this is sulfur, nitrogen, ammonia, sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. So he invented various types of symbols in order to explain the or in order to write the formula, okay, or represent the different atoms, okay, of the different elements. But you can see that it is quite difficult to remember this type of symbols. Yes. Now where today we stand and we see that there are more than 19 millions of compounds already has been discovered. Okay, so it is very difficult if we start using this type of symbols, right? So it is very difficult for us, okay, to learn these symbols as well as to remember this type of symbols. So in 1814, the Swedish chemist J.J. Berzelius proposed the current system of symbol for the element. He suggested that the symbols of element be made from the first letter of the name of the element. So J.J. Berzelius, for the first time, he proposed or he brought the new idea that why not to name why not to make the symbol from the first letter of the name of the element. You can see in the picture as well here that carbon start with C, so the symbol become C. Boron B, symbol becomes B. Fluorine F, hydrogen H. So like this, okay, if you start naming the element and if you take the first alphabet, okay, to symbolize those elements, it will be much more easier as compared to memorize or to learn what Dalton has proposed. Got it? So this was the first time that someone has given the idea, J.J. Berzelius, okay, to why not to use symbols from the name, the first alphabet. Okay, why not to use that first alphabet as the symbol, which we follow today as well, right? So it made our work much more easier to remember, because if you know the name, then you also know the symbol. Okay, automatically you will get the symbol. Okay. Next, okay, for example, hydrogen for H for hydrogen and O for oxygen. In case of elements that start with the same letter, he proposed using two letters in the name. For example, Ca, calcium for Ca, and chlorine for Cl. Okay, Cl for chlorine. Okay, now J.J. Berzelius also proposed that, okay, if you use the symbol, now already we have used carbon, C for carbon, okay. Now then what for the calcium? Calcium also start with C. Now in such cases he stated that we can also take the second letter, the second alphabet, okay. For example, calcium, CALCIUM. So you can see here that we are taking the first two alphabet, that is C and A, okay. Similarly, chlorine also Cl, okay, we are using Cl, okay. So like this, if we start using or taking the next alphabet, okay, then it will be also easier for us, okay, to remember. The symbol of an element is the first letter or the first letter and another letter of the name of the element, either the Latin or Greek name or the modern name. The first letter is always capitalized. You can see the first letter is always capitalized, and the second letter is in the lower case letter, and the second letter is always small, okay. Now the name of the elements are approved by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, which is in short we say IUPAC. Now whatever the formula, whatever the symbol, okay, everything has to be decided by this institution, okay. This is a group or union, you can say IUPAC, International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. So these, they decide what should be the symbol, what should be the name, everything they decide, okay. So the symbol, according to them, the symbol of some elements were derived from the first letter of their English name. So here you can see these are the first letter of the English name. Already we have derived calcium, aluminium, okay, barium, bismuth, chlorine, you can see, okay, directly we are using, okay, their name from the English name we are directly writing. The symbols of some elements were derived from the first two letters of the English name. The symbols of some elements were derived from the Latin or the German name. So here are the few symbols of the elements which has been derived from the Latin or the German name. For example, you can see antimony. In English we say antimony, but the symbol is Sb. Why? Because its Latin name is stibium. So it is a Latin name. Okay. Similarly, copper. Okay, we are not writing CO, we are writing Cu. Why? Because the Latin name is cuprum. Gold, aurum, iron, ferrum, okay, lead, plumbum, mercury, hydrogyrum, so potassium, kalium. So like these few elements also their names come from the Latin, so we are also using the Latin name symbols from the Latin name, okay. So what are the significance after going through these symbols? Okay, obviously symbols makes easy, okay, it makes an official language for throughout the world to understand the language, or there should be a common language, right? Across the world there should be a common language. Now suppose you are doing some experiment in the lab and you are writing hydrogen as H, and somewhere say in the foreign country if they are doing the same experiment and they write hydrogen with some other symbol, then it will be a difficult task for others to understand. So what is the significance, importance of the symbol of an element? Symbol represent the name of the element. Yes, by this name of the element we can a symbol also states us that the name of the element, carbon C, okay, hydrogen H, right, calcium Ca, okay. So they are also helping us to know the name of the element. It represent one atom of an element. So one symbol represent one atom. Okay, it represent a definite mass of an element. Yes, for example, say carbon mass is, atomic mass is 12 gram per mole. Okay, so this type of mass can be also related with the symbol. Okay, it represent mass of element which contain one Avogadro's number. Now what is one Avogadro's number? Yes, Avogadro's number mean 1 mole. So we write 1 mole is equal to Avogadro's number 6.022 into 10 raised 23 number of entities. Now what does this entities mean? Entities can be atoms, can be molecules, can be ions, anything. Okay, so this number is known as Avogadro's number. This we represent also as Na, Avogadro's number. Okay, this is also known as Avogadro's number. So it also represent number, Avogadro's number. So 1 mole. Okay, for example, say we write the atomic mass of carbon as 12 gram per mole. What does it mean? It means there that Avogadro's number of carbon atom has the mass of 12 gram. Okay, we also write oxygen, say O2. Now oxygen mass is 16. One oxygen atom mass is 16 gram per mole. Okay, now can you imagine that? Is it possible that one atom is 16 gram? So it will be quite heavier, right? No, it is not so. Actually it is any number of oxygen atom whose mass is 16 gram. Clear? Understood? So similarly O2 will be having 32 gram per mole. Yes or no? Just add it, 16 into 2, 32. So that means if you take Avogadro's number of oxygen molecule, then it will be 32 gram per mole. So these type of information can be easily related. Okay, so this is the significance of the symbol of an element. Okay, so this type of information we can easily relate with them. Coming to the next point, which is very important, is the valency. Okay, now what is valency, dear student? Valency is the combining capacity of an element. The number of hydrogen atoms that combine with one atom of an element to form a compound is called the valency of an element. Okay, previously in the earlier days we considered valency mean how many number of hydrogen atoms can be combined with a given element. For example, you can see in water, oxygen can combine with 2 hydrogen, so automatically the valency of oxygen becomes 2. Understood? Similarly, if you see ammonia, NH3, in ammonia you can see that 1 nitrogen combined with 3 hydrogen atom, so its valency automatically will become 3. Methane, CH4, you can see carbon combines with 4 hydrogen, so its valency becomes 4. So like this was a earlier concept, okay, to find out the valency. Okay, so they, according to them, the number of hydrogen atom combined with any element, that will give us the idea of their valency. Now some noble gases, you know, few noble gases are also there, inert gases. Yeah, what are those noble gases? Yeah, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, these are all the noble gases. Okay, so noble gases, their combining capacity is 0, so it is considered that their valency is also 0. Although nowadays a few compounds of xenon has been discovered, okay, but then also still we consider that noble gas, their valency is 0 because their reactivity is very less, so we consider their valency also as 0. So let us move on to the modern definition of valency. The definition, the valence electron dedicate the valency and the chemical reaction of an element. The number of valence electron of an element which actually take part in a chemical reaction is called the valency of that element. Okay. Now according to the modern concept of valency, what does it says? It says that valency is the number of electron which an element can use for chemical bonding. Okay, that means it is the number of free electron which is provided with an element and which they can use in during the chemical reaction. For example, here you can see sodium. Sodium electronic configuration 281 having 11 electron, but only one electron it can use for combination purpose, that means for bonding purpose. So automatically its valency will become 1. Magnesium has 282 electronic configuration, so it can use 2 electron, okay, so it become a divalent, okay, that means its valency become 2. Aluminium have 3 electrons for sharing, so it becomes 3, its valency becomes 3. So this is the modern concept here, students, okay, that how many number of electrons an element actually can share, okay, or can use for making a chemical bonding. Similarly, these are all the examples of cation which we have just now discussed. Similarly, anions can be also formed. See, fluorine gaining 1 electron, fluorine gaining 1 electron, okay, and so its valency also become what? 1. Oxygen gaining 2 electrons, so its valency become 2. If you notice one thing, the valency they give the lose and gain of electron is related to the nearest noble gas configuration. Let me tell you one at least. Okay, here you can see sodium. If you remove this 1 electron, see as sodium is losing 1 electron. Now if you remove this, if you note down 2,8 configuration is the nearest noble gas configuration, that is the neon configuration. Similarly, here you can see fluorine gaining 1 electron, see 9 electron is there, 7 2. So if you add 1 electron, it gaining 2,8 configuration, that is the nearest noble gas configuration of neon. So valency, the modern concept says the number of electron which they are using actually to participate or to make a bond, that is known as valency. Okay, so valency of non-metal element you can find 8 minus number of valence electron. This is a non-metal, see, nitrogen is a non-metal. So what is the valency of this element? You can find easily 8 minus number of valence electron in its atom. So what is the number of valence electron? 5. So 8 minus 5 will be 3. So 3 becomes its valency. Although nitrogens have variable valencies, it can show 5, 3. Okay. Now let us move on to the next topic, that is the variable valency. What does the word variable mean? Variable mean which is more than one, right? More than one. So there are few elements which shows more than one type of valencies. Okay, so we term them as the variable valencies. Okay, for example, you can see chromium. It shows valency more than 1, 2, 3, 6. Copper 1, 2. Gold, okay, 1, 3. Iron 2, 3. So you can see there are various elements in this chart, okay, which shows valency more than 1. Okay, so when any element shows valencies more than 1, okay, one type of valencies, then it is known as variable valency. So what is variable valency? Variable valencies mean it is a phenomenon where some element exhibit or shows more than one valency. Okay, so you can learn few examples from here. Okay, so I will end my video lecture today here. In the second lecture I will start with the radical. So I'll request you to, whenever you are watching this video, please sit with your book, okay, and then follow your book as well as the video lecture. You can watch time and again. Okay, so thank you.